Hi, I'm Mark. Welcome back to Foothill Paint Fabrication. Over the last 6 or 8 months, I've received several questions about the tools I use and what I started out with and what a guy should be using to, just even get started doing body work. So we're going to do a quick video today. Hopefully I can keep it under 15 minutes or so. And we'll take a look at the tools I started out with and the tools I have now. And I'll tell you a little bit why I have them and which ones I use the most. So let's jump in here and take a look at what I started with a long time ago. Okay guys, here are the tools I used back in the day just to paint cars, knock out small dents, and I didn't do major stuff like I do now, but I painted a ton of cars back when I was a kid and did for years and years, and this is the basic tools that I used. Now, a lot of these tools were my father's. He wasn't a body shop guy. He didn't really teach me this, although I worked right next to him when I was young. But he died fairly young, I mean really young actually, he's 52 years old, and I inherited his tools. So we'll start over here with some of those, and they were the basics. So you've seen me use this hammer a lot, and that was my father's. This Dolly was my father's. This Dolly I really have never used, hardly ever. The slide hammer was his. You notice I don't have a screw on the end, I've got a hook. So I use it mostly to hook things and pull. So that was his. This long board right here was his, and that's about it. And through the years, of course, I think I got his DA, which I burned up or ruined years ago from not oiling it. This air sander right here, I got his, but this has now since been replaced since that one, the bearings wore out. But, and I still have this block, which was my dad's, and I think I have the original one from when I was a kid. It's all cracked and broken. It's laying around here somewhere. But all in all, this is really what I used to paint cars with. A stack of newspapers, a bunch of tape, a bunch of sandpaper, most of it done by hand, almost nothing done by machine. So this is what I used to do, and really I struggled because I didn't have all the tools I should, but I didn't have the money to do it. I was painting cars and putting that money in my pocket instead of buying tools with it. So let's go ahead and take a look at my hammer drawer, my hammer and dolly drawer, and just take a look at inside there real quick, and then we'll get them out, and I'll tell you what I think you should be getting if you really don't have a thing to start with. Okay, let's get this drawer open. It's getting a little heavy. You can see it's pretty full. There's a lot of stuff in here. So let's go ahead and put it up on the bench, which I'm pretty proud of. I spent a couple hours last night after I was doing other work cleaning everything up in here. So let's put everything up out on that bench and we'll talk about it. Okay, so here's a Maddox Body Shop 7-piece kit that I think I put on my Christmas list one year. I picked it out. This is from Harbor Freight. It's 50 bucks. And it comes with 3 hammers and 4 dollies. So these are actually fairly good. They have a lot of different shapes to them. This one's kind of round. Some of them need to be sanded or filed, flat if you want a flat face. This is like a miniature version of the one my dad left me, and then this one also came in handy. So it's got some good basic tools, and I think for 50 bucks, the hammers are all lightweight, 11 ounce. And here's a flat face, similar to the one that I use at my dad's. Very handy. This one here, I've used it once and only on that side like a dolly. Never use this side, guys. This was the old school, shrinking metal trick. And please just don't do it. I'm probably gonna sand or grind that smooth because that's, I've never seen it used where it's a good thing. Let me just put it that way. And then the one I use a lot too is this one. It had a really sharp point on it. I went ahead and rounded that off a little bit. And then as you can see, I rounded off that face. This was a flat face hammer. So, feel free, there's no reason for me to have 2 round flat face hammers, right? And so I went ahead and put a slight radius on that and sanded that in there. and it's come in really handy. So for 50 bucks, I think this is a great set. You can go on Amazon. They've got similar ones like this. Not the handles are wood, I think, or plastic, but I like the metal handled ones. They're a little more durable. But 50 bucks, I think it's a great starter set. So, and then you guys know, I just picked up this slapper, the door skin kit right here, and this was also from Harbor Freight. So, and it came with a nice dolly. I'm really liking this dolly. You can see fresh sand marks. They aren't the flattest, so if you're looking for a flat surface, you're probably going to have to do some sanding on them. So, but it's got some heft to it. These are coming in handy. And the hammer, of course, is a long reach, so you can get down into tight places if there's a lip. And this has kind of like a hammerhead shape on it, and a nice shape right there. And of course, the slapper that came with it, you guys seen me use it recently. And I'm really liking that one. It's a nice size. I do like the bigger one I made, but that one I've been using a lot. And this kit right here was $32 at Harbor Freight. Not something you need. Definitely I would pick these up for sure. But this set is really coming in handy for me. And of course in the back you see the stuff I just showed you, my dad's. This was also my dad's, and there was another end on it just like that. I've just recently cut that off and sanded that smooth for like a big spoon. And I've used that a little bit. And of course the slide hammer. And there's the slapper I made recently. And then we get down into these shop-made tools. I mean, this is half a piece of 1/4-inch angle iron right here, and you can see it's sanded fairly flat. I needed that to get up in Ruby's quarter panel where I couldn't reach and do some tapping around, and this is the one I made to flatten out the Ruby's floor pan. So you can see, I mean, anything will be a dolly. Here's a piece of steel off a brake caliper kit that I didn't need, so I chopped that off, and this has turned into a pretty helpful little dolly. So a rubber mallet, you get those at Harbor Freight for, I don't know, 10 bucks. So there's, you know, this doesn't take a lot of specialty tools, but it takes a little bit. And this is just, these are the hammers I use. See, there's basic tools I use. So I'm going to go ahead and bring out everything that I use frequently. And so you guys can see, you know, what I use the most and why I use the way I do. And then you guys can decide what you want to buy. But you could probably buy, you could go to Harbor Freight or Princess Auto, wherever you're at, and pick up everything you need for probably $200, really, and really do a lot of work on a car. Okay, let's take a look at this. Now, right up front, I'm going to tell you, you don't need all this. I've accumulated these over the years, and some of them more recently in the last 8 years, just because I'm getting older and the wear and tear on my body. If these tools make it easier and the jobs come out better and faster and less effort, you know, I'm willing to spend the money. So, but you don't need them. All these sanders right here, a block of wood, you know, and a staple gun will do the same thing. You can just, you know, sand with that. So you don't need everything here, but I'll show you why I have them and about what they cost. So let's go ahead and just start. We already covered the hammers. The grinder here, now I have 3 of these. One has a flapper disc on it, one has a grinding disc, and one has a cutoff wheel. And that's just for speed. I got tired of switching all the time, right? So, and these are, you know, 8 to 10,000 RPM. You pick them up at Harbor Freight for, I don't know, what, $14, $20 when they're on sale. So, you know, they don't last forever. This one is ancient. Now, it replaced my one I smoked, and it almost caught on fire. And so this one's been around a long time. They don't even look like this anymore. But it's had a hard life. It's on its 2nd or 3rd cord because I wear them out. But a little angle grinder like this is really a must in my opinion. For $14 to $20, I think it's well worth it. In the back here, my mixing board. Now that's a old street sign that I cut a hole in, and that's what I mix my body filler on. You need that, okay? Now don't go steal a street sign. You can pick one of these up at Harbor Freight for, I think it's $12 for that board right there, and a spreader set. Now, back in the day, I used the plastic ones we've all seen, right? This is the type of set you need. You need something that's metal, you can bend it, easy to clean, and easy to take care of. You can use lacquer thinner on the body filler when it's still, you know, not hard, and you can just wipe it off with paper towel. So, and that's why they stay so clean. I don't scrape on them, I don't sand on them unless I absolutely have to, and they work out good. So you can get a set of those for like, I don't know, 10 bucks at Harbor Freight. They're not exactly like that, but they're very similar. Of course, a cheese grater, you need a cheese grater to, rough down your body filler. Do not, I like to use these semi-curved ones. I was never really a fan of the flat ones. They just don't work for me very well. So that'll get you your body filler on, and it'll get you cheese grated off. Then you need to start sanding, right? So, and you can see, I've got several of these sanders. This was my dad's, and I've got one similar size. I like the handle on this one. They are all flat. Even this old school one is flat, so it's important. And they're all friction. They're not adhesive, all right, or Velcro. And you can pick up one similar to this at Harbor Freight. And I think that one is, let's see, I got some notes right here, $11, okay? So you can get a sander about this size for $11 at Harbor Freight, as long as it's flat and straight. That's all that really matters. It doesn't matter if it says snap-on or whatever on the side, as long as the sandpaper stays on it and you can sand down, some body filler. And that's mostly what I use these for. You can see it's got, that's got 80 grit on it, and that one's got nothing on it. Let's see, that one's got some 36 or 40 on it. So, that's what I use to rough down the body filler. This one is as well, the DuraBlock. I usually keep some fairly heavy sandpaper on here. This is peel and stick, and I put two together to get that to fit. So that's like a 40 grit right there. So that'll get you your body filler roughed down, okay? That's very straightforward. You can use this size for everything. You just choke up on it, sand in a smaller area. You don't need the little one. You can use a sanding block for that, a smaller one. So that's not, a must-have to have all of those. I didn't have them for years and years and years, just use that one, and I did great. So don't worry about that. Now, paint prep. I do a lot of hand sanding. I like to do a lot of wet sanding, but I will break open a car with the DA. And you've already seen my DA. I do not use it as a final sand or anything. It's just to open up paint or maybe feather edge stuff like that. That one has 80 grit on it almost all the time. I will switch to a finer sandpaper when I'm doing something else, but most of the time it's got 80 grit on it. Okay, let's see, what else we got here? So we have these little angle grinders here, and I only had one for years and years with just a 3-inch roll lock on it and other stuff. I got tired of switching over because sometimes you need a 2-inch or whatever. So I've got three. Actually, I got a spare in the drawer with a 3-inch roll lock, a 2-inch roll lock, and a 1-inch roll lock. And when the 3-inch wears out on the edge, I just trim it down, put it on the 2-inch, and all the way down the line. And then of course the die grinder. I use that quite a bit with the burr tool. You guys have seen me use that. Now these right here are like, I don't know, they go on sale. They have a really cheap model and a little slightly better one, but I still think it's under $20. Now you can go to the name brand ones and spend $80, $90 for those. And if you like those, great, get them, but I go through these, like I said, I don't really oil my tools because I don't want oil getting on the car. So I'll buy the cheap ones, I'll smoke them, throw them away, put another one on. I don't feel bad for, 15, 20 bucks. And then the roll locks for this, I only buy 3-inch, and like I said, I just trim them down. And so I've got an assortment here, some 36, I've got some 60 and some 80. So basically, I rarely use the 36. I usually mostly do the 60 and then the 80. But if you were just starting out, I would just get 80 grit discs, and I buy them in bulk on Amazon. You can use the 3M ones that are super double throwdown, but they are really expensive. So I just get the cheap ones and go through them more often. Maybe I'll upgrade one day, but that's neither here nor there for this. So, and then you see I've got a stack of flap discs right here. Now these are 80 or 60 grit, and I do use them quite heavily when I'm welding and fabricating and other stuff. They do a really good job on the little angle grinders. Now, onto the DuraBlocks and my sanding blocks. Now, I picked this kit up, or I put it on my Christmas list, and that's something, guys, I don't know about your family, your friends and family, oh, I don't know what to get you, throw me a bone, give me some ideas. Hey, find what you want at Harbor Freight, Amazon, whatever, and send them a link. Make it easy on them, and you get exactly what you want for your garage or your shop. So you find a little kit like this, and this kit isn't too expensive, actually. It's I think I bought that one separate, but I think the round one, two of those all came in the kit, and it wasn't very expensive. They come in super handy. Once again, not something you need. You can make it out of a piece of wood if you wanted. Of course, my wet sanding, I still got to buy a new one of those. And a block I use a lot is a piece of wood. It's rounded on one side, flat on the other. It's got some peel and stick sandpaper on there, and I use the crap out of that. So as you can see, there's not a lot of stuff here. You know, the Rolock mandrels, for those over there, you can pick those up, and usually if you buy the sanding discs in bulk, if they throw a 3-inch mandrel in with it. So, you know, you're talking $12 for a mandrel. You know, like 75 of those discs over there, like $36. So, you know, it's really not very expensive to, you know, get this stuff and make your life a little bit easier. But, you know, I would encourage you to, you know, look at, I'm going to put links to all this that I can find in the description, just to make it easier for you guys to find it. I don't get any money for any of this. There's no affiliate links or anything. I'm just trying to help you guys out and show you what I use. So next, let's jump over to the air compressor, because that's probably the most important thing you're going to need. Okay, here's my air compressor, and I've had this thing for, I don't know, 30 years, I think. It has to be coming up on 30 years. It's a double bus oilless. That means that there is no crankcase. The motor connects to a crankshaft. It has 2 connecting rods that go up to the compressor pistons, and those connecting rods have sealed bearings on them, and that's it. I think there's sealed bearings up where the rod connects to the piston. So there is no oil crankcase, no way oil can get into the air line, into the air system. Now, the reason I got this one is because I paint cars, and this is what I do. This thing is so loud, it's crazy. It's in this cabinet. I keep the door shut, and you guys can still hear it running. It is crazy loud, but it is super efficient, and the air is clean. Now, this one's 5 horsepower, 60 gallon, as you can see, twin cylinder, and the CFM is what's important to you guys. So you can see over here at 40 PSI, it puts out 13.5 CFM. At 90 PSI, it puts out 10. So when you're spraying a car, you need a lot of volume of air. When you run into DA, you need a lot of volume of air. But when you're running some of these small tools, I doubt you'll overrun it. I cannot overrun this compressor. I cannot use more air like with the DA or something like that. This compressor can keep up. With spraying cars, I never have to worry about it. But it can happen, so you got to keep an eye on your pressure gauge, because if the pressure drops while you're spraying, that means your fan pattern's changing and the paint's not going to go down like you adjusted the gun for. So you want something that's a 60-gallon tank is not necessary if you got a lot more CFM. The CFM is the key. I mean, you could have a 10-gallon tank if you have a compressor that puts out tons of air at, you know, 50 or 60 PSI. So it's a balance, but 60-gallon keeps it from cycling a lot. It's been a good compressor for me. I've never hardly had to do any work to it, and it's held up really nicely. Of course, I take care of it, and one of the most important things is I drain it every time I use it. Now, if you guys see down there, so I've connected, you know how the drain in the bottom of it, I put 1/4-inch street L in there, and I ran it out, and I put a ball valve down there, and it's down there so I can kick it with my foot, crack it open, bleed it off, and then close it, and it's good to go for the next time. So it's very important to be able to drain your tank easily. The little crappy petcock thing they put on all of them, you got to reach up underneath there. It's impossible to do, so you hardly ever do it. And you can tell I've got it plumbed, and I use 1/2-inch ball valves. They shut off every time. So there's no cranking down on anything. You turn it, it's sealed. And that's the way it works. So when you're setting up your system, or you want to modify or upgrade your system, put ball valves on it, put the drain down at the bottom. It's worth the money, it's worth the time, and it'll save you a lot of moisture in your lines. Speaking of that, let's take a quick look at my air lines. And this is something you guys need to do. Do not run your hose right out of your compressor. You're going to get moisture in your lines. A 10-foot stick of pipe is better than nothing, all right? So if you just get a piece of pipe. Now here you can see I use PVC pipe. This pipe is rated at 600 PSI. Do not use PVC like I'm using. It's dangerous. If that thing's fully charged at 120 PSI, you drop something, it hits it, that plastic will come shooting out there at, you know, super fast speed, and it could kill you and injure you really badly, or somebody in your shop. Don't do what I do. They have a lot of cool poly kits now. You can use galvanized, you can use copper pipe, you can use a lot of things that are way safer. But I'm using plastic because it doesn't corrode, and I spray a lot, and it doesn't attract cold as much, which causes the hot air to condense. And that's one thing we'll cover right now. So let me walk over to where this terminates. Okay, so the compressor's over there and it comes down here and this pipe slopes ever so slightly, so the water that condenses in this line, it'll condense, drop to the bottom, and run along the bottom of the pipe. Now, it's important to know that when the compressor's running, it's making hot air. Hot air up against a cold surface, it will condense. When it's in vapor form, it's not really a big problem for you unless you're in super humid climate. But once it turns into droplets, that's when it's a problem when you're spraying paint. Okay, so it comes along here and you see I've got some fittings down there. There's a hat hanging on one, but it comes down and it stops at one of the simplest water traps you'll ever see. So it's a T fitting and the water comes along here and remember this is sloped. It's running down at an angle and it falls down inside this pipe with a ball valve on it, right? And this is like a 1/4 inch ball valve. And so with the pressure off or even on, you just crack that open, water will fill up inside here because it condensed and dribbled down inside there. Then it comes over to where it goes into my hose reel over here. Now this fitting isn't facing straight down, it's at a slight angle. If any moisture gets there, I don't want it just to build up and come out as a big bubble of water, but I don't want it off the bottom, so it's constantly feeding just in case it makes it past this one. So I've got a flexible hose here, that's braided flexible line. It used to be clear back in the day. And it comes down to a very simple, let me get that out of the way, a very simple water separator. You can get these at Harbor Freight and get them on Amazon. They're not super cheap, but you can see here I changed out the petcock for a 1/4 inch ball valve because that thing was impossible to open and then reseal. And then it comes out of there and goes to my hose reel. I really like hose reels. They're not very expensive, and I really would suggest you guys get one. Make your life simpler because only the amount of hose you have or you're using is out. Because that hose laying on the cold concrete, it will condense moisture, and then you start getting it spitting out onto your project or whatever. So, and this rag right here, I use that every time I reel that up. I wrap it around the hose. When I reel it in, try to keep that hose clean. So that's the basic system. Now on the other side of the shop, this air line runs all the way around and it goes all the way over to right there. So that is the hose reel I use to spray. Now the distance allows that moisture to drop out and get in the same system I have over here behind me. And then I have a water separator over there too with a regulator. So it's just the best way to do it. But really guys, do not come right off your compressor with a hose. I know it's easy, just to stick it on there, but it's really important to, if you're in your garage, put at least a 5 or 10 foot stick of pipe, put a T in the middle where you can have a little air fitting, and it'll make your life easier. And then just put a hose reel on your Christmas list or something, and that'll really help you out a lot. So let's go ahead and take a look over just a couple more things and we'll wrap this up. Okay, the welder I've used for over 20 years is this Miller-Matic 175. It's a 220 model. I only run solid core wire in it, and I run 7525 on the gas. You don't need a 220 version. You can get the 120, 110 volt version. It doesn't have to be Miller. It could be off-brand, yard sale, Harbor Freight, wherever. But I would definitely make sure you get it set up so you can run regulator, the gas, and solid core wire. I've seen guys weld sheet metal together with flux core wire. It's just not a good idea. You're not going to get the quality that you want. And a little tiny upgrade on a small welder shouldn't be that expensive. So if you're going to do anything other than knock some dents out and paint a car, you're going to have some patch panels, some cracks, some other stuff to fix. You're going to need a MIG welder, and you can pick them up pretty cheap. So I would definitely invest one. Like I said, you don't have to get one. This will only weld up to 1/4 inch anyways, and that's kind of pushing it. So welding 19-20 gauge, a small unit will do you just fine. So let's move over. Oh, before I forget, this little dream thing right here holds my strainers, and you see me have my gun in there. This thing is a lifesaver. I don't know how much paint I spilled or got on myself because I didn't have one of these. They sell them at Harbor Freight. They sell them on Amazon. It's bolted right here next to the bench, so it's really a lifesaver. It'll pay for itself the first job you do. Just saving you primer or paint or clear. If you spill, that stuff's expensive. This thing will pay for itself. So get one of those, set it up somewhere where you can easily put your gun in there and put the strainer on top. So I've got some drawers here. This is actually out of an old school. My buddy got it for me. It's like out of a science department school, high school, I think. So if it looks familiar. And I use this thin drawer here, and that has all my sandpaper in it. We got some friction sandpaper that uses clips to hold it on. I got some peel and stick over there too. I got some, PSA over here, pressure sensitive adhesive, so we can, you could stick it on other stuff, and some DA disc and stuff like that. I try to keep it organized so it's just quick and easy for me to keep working. And then the next drawer down is where I keep all my paint guns and fittings and stuff. That's my little tray. It's an old paint can that I cut down, and those are all my gun cleaning tools. I've got some more in that little cup right there. And then I recently built this little rack right here. It's just a little piece of MDF, and I cut some slots in it, and hung the guns inside there. Keeps them out, because the shop gets really dirty. So you can see a tiny little gun back there. It's a little Harbor Freight gun. And then that one right there is an Astro I've had forever. That's probably my third one in my lifetime. I used to use the crap out of those painting door jambs, because back in the day, my bread and butter was complete paint jobs, and we wouldn't take them apart. We'd just open the door, sand everything, clean it up, mask it, and you get that little Astro out and you paint the door jamb, close the doors a little bit, and then get the big gun out and spray the rest of the car with single stage. So, and I don't have those old guns. I started out with my dad's old Sharp siphon cup. I wore that thing out, spraying primers and sealers, color and clear, and I did pretty good with it. But now obviously I've got better guns. So there's a small detail gun. That's a double bis starting line gun. Here's the sister gun to it, the bigger version that you see me use a lot on painting color and clear, and that's the one I just picked up recently. It's also an Astro, and that's for spraying the epoxy. And you see I got an empty slot right there, so I got to buy another gun to fill that slot, and it will be the sister gun to this one, probably for base coat, or I'll set it up just for clear. And then I'll use, one gun for base coat, one gun for clear. But you can do it with one gun. You can get a Harbor Freight gun for, $20, $30, $40 and use that to paint your car. So you don't need really nice guns. These just do a little bit better job for me. But that gun right there was only like $130, I think. And the gun I'm going to get to fill that slot, it's like, I think the price went down. It's like $116. So, the ones at Harbor Freight, once you get past the super cheap ones, the price jumps quite a bit. So I'll put the links to all this in the description. So I think that's about it. So let's wrap this one up. Okay guys, one more thing before we wrap this up is some sort of rack to hold your fenders or hood or door or whatever you're working on. And this rack here, I just picked it up not long ago. I just put it together the other day. I got it from the paint store. It was on special, so I went ahead and grabbed it. Now I've got 4. This one right here I just bought. The one this piece of plywood sitting on is the same model as this one. I put wheels on it though, make it a lot more user-friendly. And then I made one out of EMT conduit, and then I bought one from Harbor Freight. Now I'll tell you straight up right now, you cannot make one cheaper than you can buy that one from Harbor Freight. The EMT conduit, the chains and everything you need, the foam and everything, the padding, is going to cost you way more than the one at Harbor Freight. So just go ahead and pick that one up. They're not quite as sturdy as these from the paint store, but they are really helpful, and it's something that'll be super valuable to you. Of course, you can use a trash can, you can use sawhorses, you can use whatever you need to do, but these really do come in pretty handy. So I think that's about it for this. I hope I showed you guys something maybe you weren't thinking you needed, or you thinking you needed a lot of tools to do what I do. You don't. Now obviously I'm doing a resto mod. You've seen me do the truck and the Chevelle and all that stuff. So I get really in deep on these things. But if you're doing your first car, you just one piece at a time, and you don't need a lot of tools. You saw the tools I started out with, and I did that for a lot of years, half the time I've been doing this. And I've been doing this about 40 years. So you don't need a lot, you don't need to spend a lot. The first gallon of paint you buy is going to cost way more than all the tools you bought just to paint the car. So, and then you can reuse those tools on the next one. The paint goes on once, and that's about it, hopefully. So I hope I was helpful for you guys today. And if you got any questions, drop me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for joining me here at Foothill Paint and Fabrication. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Mash that bell and drop me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. We'll see you on the next one.